Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Isis, All That Glitters. The goddess next door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. I got a chance to take a look at the Wonder Woman 84 trailer this Sunday, and I was really impressed with some things with this trailer. However, there were some issues I had with the overall trailer for the film. Now, the visuals are spectacular in this film, and Patty Jenkins has done an amazing job of capturing 1984 and presenting it to people on screen in 2020, because a lot of the visuals presented about 1984, I practically felt like I was going back in time to that time when I was 11 years old, and it really brought me back to that part of my childhood, seeing 1984 come to life on screen in this film, because I remember growing up in that time and remembering that time when the places like malls were the big thing and shopping districts were the big thing in one of the visuals, and seeing Max Lord playing this kind of guy who was on an infomercial trying to sell his shtick, that because we saw a lot of that in the 80s, and telling people they could have whatever they want. It took me back to those old, I forget what his name was. It was an Asian guy. He used to come on talking about real estate, and he was big in the 80s, but he used to come on and he would talk in that type of way, and they really did capture a lot of that time of the 1980s on screen. So they really did an amazing job with the visuals in this film, and there were little things that I really enjoyed seeing them do with the Wonder Woman character that really brought her to life this time, because we really got to see, I love seeing the tiara being used as a boomerang, which was a homage to the old Wonder Woman comics, and that was great to see that come to life on screen. And it was great to see the invisible jet being captured for the first time on screen in over 40 years, and they just did a great job updating the invisible jet. And it was great to see Wonder Woman in a brighter costume, because back in the 80s everything was very bright and very vivid for the mid-80s. I mean, a lot of the comic costumes, they really had a pop to them, and it was all about color. It didn't get into that dark blackness until about Batman 89 or so, but 84 was really a lot of pop and a lot of color, and they did a really great job of bringing that brightness back to the comics. And I also like the fact that they brought the hope into the Wonder Woman story, and that was something that was very interesting to see, is them bringing that hope into the story. And the story seems to be a very interesting one, where it seems to be about people getting what they want and getting what they desire. And it's an interesting story, but I don't know if it's going to be a compelling story. That's the real issue I have with the story, is I don't believe it's a really strong enough story. I mean, I'm intrigued by this story way more than I am by Black Widow and its really weak trailer. I'm really interested in seeing how this story plays out, because it seems like an interesting one, because it really ties into that whole 80s infomercial type guy who wants to sell you this idea of getting what you want, but then you often wind up getting disappointed, like a lot of people did back in the 80s when they would buy into these hucksters who would sell them this idea of buying real estate or buying cars, and they would wind up underwater with this real estate or cars because they just didn't know what to do back then. Or these infomercials where they would talk about these products back then. And it really is an interesting story, but I don't know if it's really fleshed out enough, because I'm not really getting a sense of what the bad guy is trying to do, and more importantly, why should we care? I mean, I needed a little bit more as related to this trailer, but I am intrigued by the story, and that's a good start. But I didn't really see anything that made me say, hey, I want to really put some money on this, outside of the visuals, outside of the visuals, because Patty Jenkins again does a spectacular job with the visuals, but I needed that spark to make me care. And one of the things that intrigues me about Wonder Woman 84 is the vibe that I get from Wonder Woman 84. Now, Wonder Woman 84, when I look at the visuals and I look at the overall story, it reminds me a lot of Superman 2. And Superman 2, which featured the late Christopher Reeve, was the best Superman movie ever made, as I see it. I mean, it really gave us a real credible threat as related to the villains, and it really gave us a compelling story that showed us why the world needs a Superman. So when I look at Superman 2, that was a story that really showed us why the world needs a Superman and what the world would be like if there was no Superman. And I think that they're trying to go in the same direction with Wonder Woman in 1984, trying to take this part of her life and showing what happens if Wonder Woman decides to give up being Wonder Woman and get what she wants, but then finds out what the world needs is a Wonder Woman. I think that's what they're trying to do with this story, and if they can execute this concept correctly, they would have a masterpiece of a film. I mean, I think that's what they're trying to do with this film, is trying to show, oh, Diana finally gets Steve Trevor back, she gets her dream life, but in actuality, this other woman wants to have this power like Wonder Woman and wants to become this cheetah, and it leads to us understanding why we need a Wonder Woman. If they can get that concept executed, and I believe Patty Jenkins, if she can execute this concept, she will have made the definitive Wonder Woman film if she can execute this concept, because she came 95% close with the first Wonder Woman into making a classic, and if she can execute this concept, she can make the definitive Wonder Woman movie for the 21st century. I mean, I see the elements there for a very solid film, but I'm just not seeing enough in the trailer to make me say, hey, this film is something I want to spend money on seeing, but I'm seeing elements of promise with this film. I'm seeing something here that really looks really solid and looks like another, again, step in the right direction for the overall DC cinematic brand. I mean, they are really picking up the momentum here. I mean, they've had the Shazam, the Aquaman, the original Wonder Woman, and with the Joker, even though it wasn't based on the source material, it looks like DC cinematic universe and cinematic adaptations are starting to pick up momentum, because I'm seeing a little bit of promise with Wonder Woman 84, but I'm still, again, on the fence as related to this premise, because it looks like a tricky story to execute, but if they can just hit those notes exactly right, they can have a classic on the level of Superman 2, I believe, if they can hit the notes just right as related to the execution, because the visuals clearly are there. The visual effects are pretty solid, but as I see it, what we need to see is more of the story come to life, because I really believe that it's almost there as related to the trailer, and if they can, again, execute this story, I believe they're going to this could be one of the best films that they make with the Wonder Woman character so far. I'm just on the fence about this film, but I see a lot of promise on screen. I see a lot of promise as related to the story. I see a lot of promise as related to the execution on the nostalgia. They're not trying to just make us reminisce about the past. They really want to capture that time period, and they want to capture the spirit of that time period and the hope of that time period, and they also want to give us some balance as related to things. So there's a lot of stuff that I like about this film, but again, I'm not seeing enough there that really makes me say, hey, I'm stoked for this movie, but I am intrigued by this movie, and it's one that I would probably want to spend money on if everything comes together as related to the reviews and overall everything, because I look at it and I see a lot that I like, but I'm going to have to see another trailer or two before I can really say this is the must-see movie. But from what I'm seeing in this trailer, I can say that this is looking like one of what the kind of superhero movie that everybody has been wanting to make for years, featuring a heroine. And it looks like it's one of the it looks like the most promising one out of all of the movies that are supposed to be in the year of the Shiro. If you want to pick up my stories featuring black heroines like the Isis series, the E-Steam series, the Spinsterella trilogy, and my novel The Thetas featuring heroines, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com in the description box. And if you want to help me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, E-Steam Goddess of. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a demonic dominatrix in this action-packed, all-new E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Goddess of in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.